everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you are here. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that I'm very, very passionate about. And I'm going to keep talking about it until I can get more of you to jump on the bandwagon and do it, because I know how essential it is to have an abundant garden. And the way to do that is what we're talking about today, and that is testing your soil. So before you click off, I want you to tune in, get your notes, get your cup of coffee, tea, drink, lemonade, whatever is your beverage, and I want you to hang out with me for the next few minutes as I talk about why it's so important for you to do a soil test, how easy it is to be done, and what you're going to gain from doing a soil test. Now, if you are new here, my name is Barbara. I live in Tennessee and I'm in zone 7B. But regardless of where you live and what zone you're in, every gardener should do a soil test at least once a year. I'm going to repeat that for the people in the back. Everybody should do a soil test at least once a year. And I'm going to tell you why. And so if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. You picked a great video. Go ahead and subscribe in faith, because let me tell you, on this channel, I am going to give you simply my journey. I have been gardening now for 4 years. This will be my 5th season gardening, which is wild to me. But literally, I just take you on my journey and how I am learning how to garden, how to homestead, doing it all for the first time. And I share with you my wins, my losses, my successes, and just take you along with me. And so I would be amiss if I didn't share with you every single year the importance of this topic. Now, I put a poll in my community group on YouTube about 2 weeks ago, asking who does a soil test annually. Y'all, I was shocked. I was shocked at it, okay? At the results. Only, I think 100 and maybe 20 or 50 people replied. So obviously that is a very small percentage of the subscribers that we have on here. But if I were to take that as a sample of the larger group, y'all, only 6% of you say that you do a soil test annually. 6%. That means out of 100 people, 6 people. Right now, at the time of this video, we have about 12,000 subscribers. Yay, yay, yay. And so if I were to make that as part of the average, if that is true, if only 6 out of 100, y'all, that means that would be what, 60 out of 1,000? And then that would be, let's see, quick math, 600 or so and some change out of 12,000. Regardless of what the number is, it is too low if you are trying to have an abundant, thriving garden. Now, first, let me tell you why this is so important. And I want you to think about it this way, okay? And then we're going to show you exactly what soil test kit I use and how I use it. And literally, y'all, it can take you 10 minutes or less. And if you don't have the amount of space that I have, 5 minutes or less. So, do you have 5 minutes to make sure that you have abundant and that all of your hard work that you're putting into it, that you are yielding what you're putting into it, okay? So let's talk about the advantage of a soil test. And let me put this down so I can really talk to y'all, okay? So here is the advantage of a soil test. When you do not do a soil test, you are literally doing this. You are blind. You are covering your eyes to what your garden needs. Now, if you don't know, let me tell you, your plants thrive off the quality of the soil that you have. When you are feeding or fertilizing your plants, you are not fertilizing and feeding your plants. You are feeding your soil. Soil is a living organism. It is the lifeblood of your plants. Great soil, great plants. Quality soil, quality plants. I have been, like I said, doing this for 4 years, so that is small in comparison to people who have been gardening much longer than me. But what I can tell you is that when I started paying attention to my soil and getting my soil tested and trying to get my soil in balance, every year I have greater success. If I go back to the yield of the crops that I had on year 1 versus what I had last year, difference is night and day. Now, some of that is knowledge over time, but y'all, all of it ain't knowledge. All of it is not just, oh, I've been gardening for 3 years and now I got better and it's by happenstance. No, I pay attention to my soil like a hawk, okay? I make sure that I feed my soil quality ingredients of what it needs. So if you are the kind that buy an all-purpose fertilizer and sprinkle it all over your stuff every single year and you're not yielding what you think you ought to yield, think about it. You are basically giving a general solution for something that your soil may not need. Let me break this down even further. Now, y'all may say, oh, she on to us today. Yes, I am. Y'all know I'm always nice. I'm always uplifting and encouraging, and I'm still uplifting and encouraging you. But I want to get this point across. I want at the end of this video, somebody to raise their hand and say, you know what? I'm going to try it. Barbara, I'm going to do it. That is what I want someone to say. Okay? So that my work is not in vain. Okay, so go back to the soil. So when you do an all-purpose fertilizer, now, let me just say this. If you are new and or that's all you can do and that's all you have access to and you cannot do anything different, then by all means, do an all-purpose fertilizer. But if you want to dial in and get a grip on your soil and give it actually what it needs, the only way to do that is to do a soil test. Now, many of you will ask me, you will email me, you'll put on comments, Barbara, what fertilizer do you use? And y'all know I'm an open book. I don't keep any secrets about what I'm using. I want us all to grow big, okay? I will tell you exactly what I use, but the common denominator is different because my soil is different than your soil, right? Worm castings. That's a great general. Anybody can use worm castings. It's going to be good, right? It's an organic, great option. Rev.com that I recommend and talk about on this channel, great option. But when it comes to your soil and what it needs, whether it needs nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium, I don't know that, right? And so the things that I talk about that I use on a general basis is for general use. But what you don't see is what I may be using particular to my soil. And I don't share that as broadly because what I need is not what you need. Okay? So when you get an all-purpose fertilizer, it is all-purpose. Like it's going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. That's all-purpose, all general. So think about when you were younger, and let's say you had brothers and sisters or you were at school and one person was cutting up all the time, but everybody got in trouble because the one person cut up. General, all purpose. So I don't know exactly who did what, but because I don't know, I'm going to get all of you. Like it was 5 of us. And there would be times when my mother would say, you know what? Who did it? Who did it? I ain't going to start calling names, but who did it? Oh, okay. Y'all don't want to talk? Fine. Everybody line up and get a spanking. That's what you call all-purpose. But when you dial in your soil and you get your soil tested, then you can zero in on like, oh, I don't have nitrogen. I have a nitrogen deficiency. It's the same thing as when your mama said, oh, Kim did it? Oh, okay, Kim, line up. You about to get a spanking. Not Kim, John, and Jamie, okay? I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. The way to improve your soil and your yield and your abundance is to dial in on what your soil needs. Okay, so let me go through this because this is going to be more of a, part of it's going to be teaching, there's going to be demonstration. But I want this video to live on forever so that you can come back to and say, okay, now tell me again, what are the things in the soil? So the soil has 3 major nutrients: nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are what we call the major or macronutrients, okay? Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. NPK. So when you go and buy some soil or, when you buy fertilizer of any sort, all-purpose, bone meal, blood meal, it's going to have 3 numbers separated by a dash, okay? It's going to say 12, 2, 1, 3, 4, 5, 3, 6, 1. Those numbers are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So the first number is nitrogen, the second number is phosphorus, the third number is potassium, okay? Those are your macronutrients. Your soil, when you get a soil test, it's going to tell you what you are high in macronutrients, and it's going to tell you what you are deficient in. So last year on my soil test, I was very high in phosphorus, like off the charts phosphorus, high, right? So I didn't need to give my soil more phosphorus. So if I were to do an all-purpose fertilizer, and let's say the numbers were 5, 5, 5, 5 of each of those, I'm giving my soil more phosphorus. That's not what it needed, right? If my soil was low in nitrogen and okay on phosphorus and potassium, when I do an all-purpose fertilizer, okay, it's getting 5 of nitrogen, but it may need 12 of nitrogen. So instead of me doing all-purpose, I need to dial in and concentrate on nitrogen. So instead of me doing an all-purpose, I would do something like feather meal, which is a slow-release fertilizer specifically for nitrogen. Blood meal goes a little bit faster than feather meal. Okay? And when it comes to nitrogen, you want something that's of more of a slow release that is going to last if you're looking for an organic option. But you don't know that because you are like this. You are not doing a soil test, so you don't know what your soil needs, right? Every nutrient, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, they each play a function, right? Nitrogen helps your plants green up, bulk up, right? They help them to grow. Phosphorus is all about root development, right? So when you're doing things like onions and your root crops, they need phosphorus because you want them to bulk up, right? Bulb up, root up, versus potassium is good as a connector. And I'm going through this very quickly. The point is making sure that you know exactly what your soil needs, and then you can address that specific issue. And doing a soil test is not one and done. You don't do a soil test now and then don't do it for 5 more years. Why am I saying do it annually? Because as you plant your crops are using up the nutrients in the soil, and they are also depositing nutrients, right? There are some crops that are heavy nitrogen feeders. They use a lot of nitrogen. And so you may have addressed your nitrogen issue last year by using a feather meal or a blood meal, but that's not going to last you for 5 years. If you planted peas in that area, if you planted corn in that area, right? It's a heavy nitrogen feeder. So you may need more nitrogen. Other things may deposit nitrogen, right? So that's why you want to dial in on your soil test every single year so that you know exactly what it needs. So that's number 1. Your soil test is going to show you the levels of your macronutrients, your nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium. The other thing it's going to show you is the acidity level or the pH of your soil. It's going to let you know if your soil is more acidic or more alkaline. You want something right close in the middle, right between 6 and 7 if I'm not mistaken. But it's going to tell you exactly, and again, you may be having issues and saying, Barbara, I'm planting exactly what you planted. I'm doing exactly what you're doing. But the denominator that's different is my soil versus your soil, right? And so if your soil is acidic and mine is balanced, then we're going to have different results. And there are ways that you address if it's acidic versus alkaline, right? Sulfur, limestone, things like that. Okay, but your soil test is going to tell you the pH level of your soil. The third thing that a soil test is going to tell you is your micronutrients. So macro is nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. Your micronutrients are things like zinc, magnesium, potassium, sulfur, calcium. Those are what we call micronutrients, right? Those are the things that nobody pays attention to usually. Nobody pays attention to because they're not doing a soil test. So you may be balanced in your macronutrients and be imbalanced in a particular micronutrient. And all of those micronutrients have its place, and they are part of the growing process. Okay? And so again, you need something to address your micronutrients if you're having an issue in a specific area. You may be having an issue with zinc or manganese or calcium. I may have an issue with sulfur or not potassium, sulfur or something else. So again, our soil is not the same. We can do the exact same thing, but my soil is different than your soil. And so I really encourage you, if you have never done one, I want you to put it on your list to do a soil test. We're talking $25 to $30 max if you're doing a soil test, okay? Here are some options of where to do your soil test. One, if you live in a rural area and you have a co-op, an extension office, you can usually go there and they will give you the kit for free, and then you mail it in and get results like through usually the university extension or something like that. I did that when I first started doing a soil test. I would go down to the office, they give me a little box with a little thing to put the soil in, the directions to mail it in, and I would have results in like 2 to 3 weeks from the University of Tennessee extension. So that is an option. So the cost I think was like $20 or $25. Now for the past 3 years, I use my soil test kit. It is in my Amazon shop. You can go to my Amazon shop, click on the link, and you can get it from Amazon. Let me show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like, right? So what I normally do, or you can also go to the company and get it if you don't want to go through Amazon. My soil, I think it's mysoiltesting.com. So either way, usually what I do is I buy these in the fall. Y'all know I'm always talking about being intentional and being efficient. And in the fall, they usually have a sale like either buy one, get one free, buy one 50% off, or Amazon will run a sale like on Prime Days or something like that. But the average cost of this, I want to say, is $29.99 maybe. So no more than $30 for one. I buy two because I'm doing my outside garden and I'm doing my tunnel. Okay? The first year that I started using this brand, I only did one. Last year was the first time I did both spaces. And I saw a huge benefit in doing both spaces. Why did I only do one space before? Money, budget, right? Hey, I'm no different than you. But again, I find ways, again, buying them in the fall. I try to spread out my costs. Things that I know that I'm going to use, I try to spread out my cost so that I'm not buying everything in March and April right before the gardening season. Okay? So where there is a will, there is an absolute way. Okay. So you get this box. It gives you the instructions. But basically all you're going to do is get you a trowel, some type of, small shovel, whatever, and you're going to go around to your space and get 5 to 6 different samples of soil. You're going to go from the surface level to about 6 inches down. That ain't that deep. 6 inches, grab you some soil, boop, 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 boop. 5, put it in a thing, mix it together, and that becomes your soil sample. Like literally, y'all, that's it. Then they give you a self-addressed envelope. You ain't got to write nothing out. You ain't got to worry about putting a label on it. It's prepaid, no postage. So all you do is once you do your soil thing is go pop this in your mailbox. Okay? It comes with this for your soil sample. So once you go around your yard or your garden or wherever you're gardening and get those 5 to 6 samples, mix all those together to make one soil sample that is combined of the 5 or 6 that you just did, and put it in this little scoop. This little scoop goes right here. You can see, hopefully you can see, there is some solution in here, right? And basically you just unscrew this, put the soil, dump it in there, put the top back on, put this in there, go take it to your mailbox, put the flag up, and your soil test is done. Now, then you go and register online with your code, which is right here, okay? The code is on the back. Go to mysoiltesting.com, put in the number of the soil test kit that you sent in, and usually within a week, you will have your results online. I started using them because it's quicker. The other thing that I like about this particular company is that you get your results quicker, but then they also give you recommendations. So they tell you, if you're deficient in nitrogen, go buy this, go use this. And it will give you a link to the product, and it gives you organic options and non-organic options. They take all the guesswork out of it for you. So last year, my soil was high in phosphorus. They recommended something that I had never seen, never even heard of before, but it was a fertilizer where it was 0 phosphorus. And most of the time, you cannot find one that is 0 phosphorus, okay? But they recommended something. I used it. I had great results last year. So y'all, it's just that easy to do your soil test. Like, we talking 5 minutes. 5 minutes and $30, okay? To understand about your soil and what to do. And you may say, well, once I get the results, I don't know what to do. But if you use this one, they're going to at least recommend products of what you can do, organic or non-organic, right? And so you don't have to guess. You don't have to wonder. So when it's time to amend, and when we say amend your beds, Lexi, you got something to say? Not over here where I am. Okay, the dogs want to fight. When it is time to amend your soil, when we say amend your soil, that means changing not the structure, changing the components of your soil. So when I say amend, if my soil test says I need more nitrogen, then I am going to add in a nitrogen component. I'm going to amend or change the soil so that it has more nitrogen. So that's the reason why you want to do your soil test in the spring before you plant. So I always try to do mine in March. So that way I know what I need to get, amend my soil before I start to plant my summer garden. I always do mine in March, and I do it, every year around this time. Now, I don't do it again in the fall because, again, once a year is fine. So we're not talking about something that you have to do every single week, every single month. One time a year is all that I'm asking and encouraging you guys to do. It is just that simple. Just that simple. And the report that you get is going to show you pictures, charts, graphs. It's going to show you the recommended level versus what your levels are in each of the micronutrients and the macronutrients. And it's going to give you recommendations for both. And then you can also see over time how your soil is changing, right? You can see, oh, okay, man, I dialed that in. Okay, don't have that problem anymore. And the goal is, and it also gives you like I think it's called a nutrient dense score. It tells you how dense your soil is, like how nutrient dense it is. And y'all, the more nutrient dense your soil, the greater the quality of the food, meaning whatever you plant and you take into your house to eat, it has more of the nutrients in there. Ain't that one of the reasons why we're growing food, y'all? Because the store food ain't got no nutrients, right? By the time it is set in a cold room, travel 1,500 miles, and they bring it to your store, you thinking it's fresh, and fresh is like 5 weeks old. And so the nutrient value has declined significantly. But if you're going to grow your own food, you want nutrient-dense food. This is a way to know and to up-level and to increase the nutrient density of your food. Okay? I cannot say enough about this process, and this is what's going to take you from good to great, is understanding your soil and changing it based on what your soil needs. When you don't do that, you are literally blind, and you just giving your soil, you know what, you look like everybody, all purpose is going to catch everything. That's just that's like a safe bet. It's going to catch everything. You know what? It's going to catch everything, but it's not going to be specific to your soil. And so you're going to get everything results, average, what everybody else getting versus up-level results, okay? So let's go in the tunnel. I showed you me going around collecting samples for the greenhouse. Now let's go in here. Let's mix it all up together, and I'm going to show you exactly how to put it in here, and we'll take it to the mailbox. Okay, y'all. This is my soil. That's from like 6 different places in my tunnel, and the part that's in ground, because that's the part I'm wanting to focus on. Last time I did a combination of the raised beds and the ground. This time I'm just doing the ground separately because I want to know them separately. So this is the amount of soil. I'm literally just stirring this up to make sure it's all combined. So that I have a good sample. Make sure you keep your card and don't throw that away. And again, it gives you all these instructions on the very back. It tells you exactly what to do. So, it says collect soil from 5 to 7 places or locations within your desired testing area. We did that. It says it should be collected from the surface down to a depth of 6 inches. We did that. And it says if your soil is too hard, you can use a shallower depth. And then thoroughly mix the soil, breaking up clogs and removing large plant material and rocks. So I'm going to take out any of the rocks and then That is my soil sample. So then we're going to add 1 level scoop. So I'm just taking this out. You can see what it looks like. We're going to put the soil in here. Put the lid back on tightly. You don't dump any of the water out, and you don't dump that capsule that's in there out. That's all you do. Make sure the lid is on tight. And then you want to meld this within 1 day of adding the soil to the jar. Just like that. So, because I'm doing more than one, what I'm going to do is on my card, put high tunnel. So that I know when I go to put my registration in, I know which one is the high tunnel, okay? High tunnel in ground, okay? So this box is done. Don't need that. And I have my card. It's just that simple. So now all I have to do is go do the outside garden, do the exact same thing, get that part done, and take it to the mailbox, put the flag up. They'll come get it tomorrow, and it'll be on its way. So let me go do that, and I'll come back. Okay, guys, I got that done. It's real wet and muddy out in the tunnel because of the storm that just happened a few days ago. And y'all, I just realized I can't even take this to the mailbox because, and I've debated on whether I do a video on this. It's heavy on my heart, so I might. Just don't know if I can get it done this week. But I want to talk about emergency prep and when it goes well and when it doesn't, as a follow-up to the video that I did on emergency preparedness. Separate discussion. But my driveway right now is impassable. I shouldn't say we're stuck. We are semi-stuck. Like, my husband can get out because he has a truck, but I cannot get out. Our driveway got washed out. When I say completely, in one particular section, it got washed out completely, and the culvert is clogged up, and so it is literally impassable unless you have like a big old truck like my husband. So if I need to go somewhere, he can take me, but my truck can't go. So I can't get to the mailbox. He's not here right now, so I'm gonna have to make a special note for him to take it down there for me by tomorrow. But we have our second soil sample here, and I hope and pray that none of you guys were impacted by the storms at all. So let me just stir this up. There's our sample. And I would take you guys down there so that you can see the driveway, but I can only drive to a certain point, a place where I can actually turn around, and then I have to walk the rest of the way of our driveway. And it's real treacherous right now. Okay, guys, I'm gonna get that soil sample done. I'm having a hard time getting the little lip thing off, and it's not usually that hard, but something I think is stuck. But anyway, I'm gonna call my husband, see if he can meet me to put the stuff in the mailbox. If he can't meet me, then I will take it in the house, and then it's sealed up, ready to go to be put in the mail tomorrow. And it tells you on the thing, like, once you register, and so then I'll go in the house and actually register my number, and you'll be able to track it. Like, you'll be able to go into the website and see when it actually got to the facility, and then obviously you'll get your results within 6 to 8 days of them actually receiving it. Usually I have results on like day 8 or 9 easily, without questions asked. And so I like the fact that it's quicker. But I hope that this encouraged you guys to do a soil test if you've never done one before. If you have a big space, then just try one area. Like, I started off with just doing that right there. Only last year did I add in this right here. I've never done behind my house in the raised beds, because primarily in the fall it's onions and garlic, and then in the summertime it is flowers, paste tomatoes, and things like that. But eventually I will do that. But again, I'm telling you, don't, just because you can't do everything doesn't mean that you don't do something. And so if you can spend $30 and 5 minutes. If you have that within your wheelhouse right now, I encourage you to get a soil test. Let me know down below what questions you have about anything that I shared, questions about a soil test, and let me know if you're going to be one of the ones that says, yes, Barbara, I am going to do a soil test. You convinced me. I hope that is your truth. Remember, y'all, this is all a journey. I'm sharing with you what I've learned. And as I continue to learn, if you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.